Burn the Ship. This is Burn the Ship podcast. Thank you for coming. I wanted to say that first of all. Anybody that sets the time apart to either watch or be a guest on Burn the Ship, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for being here, audience. Thank you for being here, Christyl, as well. This is the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs with professionals. We want to talk to people that have walked the walk and talk the talk, experienced all the things that we experience as small business owners. We want to bottle up some of those skills, bottle up some of those experiences, teach them to that next generation of entrepreneurs. We've been very fortunate through our client base and our network to talk to a ton of people, and I think we've done a lot of really positive stuff in the B2B community. So thanks for being here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your business?
Hey everybody, I'm so excited to be on Burn the Ship. My name is Christyl Benford. I'm actually a multi-business owner. I'm an author, podcaster, and I am also a mindset mentor. I have there's a different facets of my businesses. But my overall job is to make sure that people are fulfilled in business, fulfilled in their personal life through their mindset, and everything ties into mindset. I'm also a mother. I'm also the CEO, so I run the company, and sometimes I dive in to have to do some of the design elements and everything. But my job is to serve my clients in having better business practices, better brands, and better mindsets. And I think once we put all those things together, everything works absolutely perfect. And so I have a great support system, my husband, my daughter, my friends, my family. So I think that's important too, moving ahead. And I've had a really good environment to grow in, and that's what I share. That's what I'm going to share some of that with you today.
Sure. So tell me a story, right? Because I know no, it's difficult to start this journey with mindset at the forefront. So
Mm.
what is your past life like? What is your background, and how did you kind of get to this place?
Oh, that's a great question. So let me see. I'm going to start somewhere where we can make it quick. so, honestly, I'm an omnivert, but I am more introverted, but I have an extrovert personality. So, my biggest thing was staying hidden, especially before I started business. I was like, had my own mindset issues. I was insecure. I didn't, want to tell too many people about my wins and my accomplishments or what I was working on in fear that I may fail at it. And I didn't want everybody to see me fail at it, even though they thought or even though I said that I was going to do something and then maybe it didn't turn out right. So I was very secretive. That is one of the things that hurt me the biggest. I would say the most was that mindset and being the best hidden secret because of my mindset. And so I dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome, fears like fear of failure, even fear of thinking about success. And so it hindered me even before business, but really when I opened up my first business, it really hindered me then. Because to my circle, I'm known, or to my network at the time, I'm known more so as a singer and songwriter. That's what everybody knew me as. So when I shifted and pivoted into my other creative side, which is which is where my brand company was birthed from, I was very secretive. I didn't tell anybody because I had all these different mindset issues going on of what I thought, I wouldn't be accepted because they know me as this. They're not going to take me serious. And working with a lot of new entrepreneurs, I noticed they go through the same thing. So it took me a very long, hard process in the beginning to overcome these mindset issues, but my business did not grow like it could have. And like it is now, it did not grow because of these underlying issues that I had within my personal self, within my personal mindset. So even though I started the business in the midst of all that, I finally, years later, had to really say, okay, the business is not the issue, the marketing is not the issue, the network is not the issue is you. You as a person, you have to deal with these underlying issues, you have to deal with these fears, you have to deal with this mindset. What are we going to do? So then I started this mindset journey like years ago. I think it might have been like 2016 or something like that. I started really diving in with my mindset, making sure that I created a mindset morning. So a you know, I had a whole routine behind meditation, prayer, feeding myself the right information. Like it was a whole process, and I did this over a couple of not a, over a couple of years. I still do it, but I noticed a difference within a year to 2 years of doing that consistently, and so that in turn helped me to be better at business, and it helped me to not be the best hidden secret, or it allowed me to show up so that I can serve those that I'm meant to serve without apologies. So as I continue on, I just get stronger in my mindset, but I'm more bold, I'm more confident, and I just do me and not try to worry about what other people think, not try to compare myself to anybody else, but I just show up as my creative genius, how I was created, and I do that, and I show other people how to do the same thing through both of my businesses. So I hope that answers the question in
No, it
short.
definitely does. So tell me, how when did that journey become? When did it go from a journey that you were on, that you were trying to kind of overcome those mindset issues that you had, to identifying those issues in other people and trying to help them through the same thing?
Oh, that's good. Now, honestly, I think I've always had that ability, but I didn't know what it was earlier on, and I wasn't confident in that. But when I realized, oh, these people are dealing with the same thing I dealt with, I would say, like I said, I've always known. I just didn't know how to, bottle that up or name it. But I think when I start effectively being open and verbal about helping other people through this was probably wasn't until it might have been 3 years later after I started my mindset journey. I think I started in 2015, like I said, 2016. So probably not until 2017, 2018, maybe somewhere around there. I think that's when I started to be like, okay, they're dealing with these same things. I was able to overcome it. Let me help them. And it just started with a talk, pretty much like whether it was some videos that I posted or whatever. It just started with a talk. And then eventually all that bloomed into something else.
Sure,
So it took some years because I didn't want to say anything to somebody else and I haven't overcome it, so I
sure.
couldn't help nobody else. Yeah.
What community was it that you found yourself working with early on? Is it startup community or very small businesses? Were you working with people in corporations?
I was actually I was actually working with entrepreneurs on both ends. I was working with entrepreneurs from my brand company side. I was working with mostly startup entrepreneurs and ministries and churches, helping to brand them, solidify their story and messaging, and doing all this. But while I was working with them, they're in the starting process. They're transitioning from most of them being employees to now you are the employer. And so I think in that, I start seeing that this is an issue. This mindset thing is an issue because they weren't moving forward. Everything would be built and ready for them to just hit the ground running, and they were just sabotaging themselves. And I'm like, well, what's going on? We just launched. You have this amazing brand. Your website's up, blah blah blah. But they just like, I don't know. They had a lot of imposter syndrome and other issues or traits of self sabotage. So yeah, that's who I started with originally. I still now on the mindset side, I just work with individuals. I mean, some of them work a 9 to 5, some of them are starting businesses, some of them
Everybody's
are
kind of in a
already in
different
businesses.
place.
Exactly. Everybody is in a different place. And believe it or not, everybody faces
Sure.
all these different things at different levels. So, yeah, so that's how it all started. Like, that's the type of people that I served at the time.
So, what would you think throughout this process of growing your business and really establishing, your value and your brand? What would you say has kind of been your superpower? Like, what would you say has been that one thing that's helped you grow your business the most?
I would say transparency and just owning who I am instead of trying to mimic the heavy hitters in my industry.
Sure.
I think, I mean, just being me. I mean, I show up and people like me.
Yeah.
That's that's not a brag, but I mean, I just be confident in who I am. And I think that's when people gravitate to me more. whether it's me personally or to either one of my businesses, services, products, whatever. I just show up and I'm very transparent. I'm not a fluff type of woman. Like I don't like to give fluff and and beat around the bush. I'm a straight shooter, and I think people like that. But I know how to do that tastefully, and I know how to do it in love, and I'm not abrasive. So
Sure.
I think that comes in hand. I think that's handy in itself. So that would be my superpower. My superpower is who I am
Authenticity.
overall.
Yeah, yeah. Being authentic is a huge part of your business because your
Mm,
business takes the shape of the people that are running it. You know what I mean? It's like if you can find a way to be authentic and unapologetically yourself, your business will do the same thing and it'll prosper. What would
absolutely.
you say has been the most difficult? Like, what would you say is some of the biggest obstacles that you've overcome?
The biggest obstacle, number one, mindset. That was first and foremost because I couldn't overcome anything else without overcoming those issues. Um, Another big obstacle was pricing, which still all these things that I'm gonna mention after this have tie into mindset issues. But pricing, I was underpricing and overserving. You always hear people in any industry say, you know, give more than what the value of what you're offering or what they pay for. Always give over and above. That's good if you're being compensated where you need to be compensated. So I think pricing really hurt me in the beginning. And that's because of who I thought I was at the time. Another one was marketing, and that's because staying hidden, that was a disaster. Matter of fact, it was non-existent. Let's just be honest. It was non-existent, and of course, you cannot have a business and not tell people. You won't survive.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say those two things probably, or three, because I said mindset first. Those three things were probably the biggest. Those are the biggest ones, I would say.
And what would you say if you look back at your journey, right? That's been what,
Mm.
8 years long ish
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
say you could look back and kind of talk to yourself, year one, right, of beginning that mindset journey and trying to understand where you needed to be to run your business successfully. What advice would you give yourself?
Stop worrying about what other people think. Stop worrying about what other people think and just show up. Like just do it. And start reminding yourself of your wins and your accomplishments that you've already done even before this point, and let that fuel you to making more accomplishments and obtaining more wins. And I think that would be the key, not worrying about what other people think, what they may say, because I feel like that I know this now that you could be doing good or you could be doing bad. But people are going to talk no matter what. They're going to think whatever they're going to think. They're going to say whatever they're going to say, but it's not your job to worry about what others think. The biggest job you have is to think about what you think about you. That's the biggest job.
Yeah, for sure. It's a difficult thing to do though, as you're and
Oh,
and it
absolutely.
feels like everything early on continues to remind you what you don't know. Like when you try to hire someone or you try to price something, you try to add a new product or you try to find a way to bring value in a different way. It's like
Mhm.
everything is designed to reinforce the idea that you don't know what you're doing in your mind. Your mind is always looking for that imposter syndrome and that self-doubt to set in. Um, but if you can just be yourself and you can just show up, like you said, you
Absolutely.
would be mind blown. It's 90% of the battle. You know what I mean? It's a tremendous amount
Absolutely.
of the battle. You can figure the rest out, and there's people like you and I that are more than willing to help those people guide themselves through whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? Whatever those
Absolutely.
challenges are. I've been in the business of solving problems for businesses for a decade, and
Mhm.
we've learned a lot. You learn a lot from being a CEO and you learn a lot from running a business, but you learn a lot from helping other people achieve those same things. So I
Absolutely.
invite anybody listening that's experiencing those things to lean on myself, lean on Christyl, not to speak for you, but I don't imagine that you
Absolutely.
would have any issue with that.
Not at
Um,
all.
but that's awesome. It's awesome to be able to look back in that mirror and address yourself where you were from a perspective of where you are. It's such a good gaze through the window to look back and appreciate the journey. You know what I mean? Especially over 8 years. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Well, tell people how to find you if they want to buy something from you. If they have questions for you, where do they go?
Absolutely. Go to, and I'm just going to give my link tree because my businesses are in there,
Yeah, that'll work.
products, services. Yeah. So it's solo, SOLO dot TO forward slash, and then my name, Christyl Benford. So that's ChristylBenford. So solo.to forward slash Christyl Benford.
Yeah, we'll put it in
And you
the
can find
description as
everything
well.
there.
Yeah, if you want to look at
Yeah.
it, we'll just put it in the description as well. So, and then the way that we kind of always end the show here, right, is an allusion to our name. The
Hmm.
podcast is called Burn the Ship because have you ever heard that allusion before? Because the audience
You
has heard me.
explained it to me before, but tell the
Okay, cool.
audience because I want to hear it again.
Oh, they've heard me say it so many times.
Okay.
Hernan Cortez, Spanish conquistador,
Mm.
makes everybody turn all the take all the supplies off their boats and they burn the ships. Right? They're either figuring it out in Central America or they're dying. And maybe the stakes aren't exactly the same. You're not going to die if your business fails, but your business can absolutely die. It's a living, breathing thing. And there's a moment that everybody experiences where they decide, I have to go all in on this idea of being an entrepreneur and I have to push myself outside of what I'm normally comfortable with in order to achieve that. And that's that moment that we describe as burning the ship, right? And so I ask you the same thing: is what does it feel like to burn the ship? What does it feel like to go all in on being an entrepreneur and go all in on your business? And why should people that are kind of kicking the can down the road or trying to figure out when would be the perfect time for them to make that same decision, why should they seek out that same experience?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question, and that's a multi-level question. um, so the first part about burning the ship, um, and you were asking for me in my experience, correct?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So okay, good. So burning the ship, tear down any. First of all, tear down anything that causes insecurity in you because you're not going to be able to do any, you're not going to be able to succeed in anything. Failure and success starts with a mindset. So you have to first tear down whatever negative things, negative thoughts, negative self-image, negative belief system. You have to tear that down first before you can do anything else. And then once you do that, then you can show up and then you can tear down whatever else anybody else is saying. You can just ignore and tear that down so that you can show up and be fully unapologetically you. That's who people want to see. People can tell when you're not authentic. They can tell when you're copying somebody else. Just be you. Now you're gonna have to tell me the other questions again, the other parts of the question.
It's
Remind me
all it's
again.
all kind of tied together, right? So like, what does it feel like to burn the ship? What is that experience like of committing to going all in on
Mm.
your business is one part of it. And then, like what you just answered, I guess is kind of the other part. Like from your perspective, what would you tell other people kind of seeking out that same thing?
Yeah, I love that. So like you said, I think I did answer that last one, but the experience for me was exciting because I always love an adventure. But for most people, it's not necessarily exciting. It's scary.
Yeah.
Scary things are when you are moving ahead and you are moving into the unknown and you are just not clear on the direction. You may not even see the full story or the full picture of where you're going. Anything unknown is going to be scary. That doesn't make you a pariah. That doesn't make you different than anybody else. Anything unknown. If you have never been a parent before and now you're having your first baby, there's some scary parts to that. If you're starting a business and you have never owned anything that looks like a business, you've always worked for somebody else, that's going to be scary. So I'm going to tell you that it is going to be scary. For some of you that are like me, it's going to be exciting. But then on the second part of that, you have to know, keep more of the excitement than the fear because you are building something that should outlive you, that should become a legacy for others, not just for your family, but for others. And show up thinking about, what am I leaving this world? What am I leaving this world? Even after I'm gone, what am I leaving this world? And then once you think about that and take your focus off of yourself, then you can, it'll be easier to get rid of all the fears. It'll be easy to get rid of all those feelings, whether especially the negative feelings, but hold on to the good feelings. Hold on to your why. Okay, that's what's going to excite you. That's what's going to make you happy. So for me, like I said, it was excitement because it was an adventure. But then also, I didn't weigh the cost. So that part became a little fearful. But whatever your feelings are, embrace your feelings. But if they're negative, identify it and get rid of it. And just focus on you're here to serve, and there are people out there that need what you have.
You can never go wrong by finding ways to be valuable to other people in your community. You know, finding a way
Never.
to assist other people and be valuable and also learn is a wonderful perspective on starting a business. It sounds backwards. You know, it sounds like you should be working only on yourself and really focusing internally, but if you can find a way to connect with your community and be valuable to other people, the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you represent your business changes drastically. You know what I mean? Those
Absolutely.
feelings of
Absolutely.
anxiety turn into feelings of passion really early on in your business when you separate your ability to make money from your ability to be valuable to people. You know what I mean? The money will follow, and whatever's important to you will follow. The sense of legacy will follow. Um, obviously the money follows, fame follows. It just that
Hmm.
so many good things happen whenever you find ways to be valuable to other people in your community and help those people solve problems. So I appreciate you very much, my friend.
Yeah, I
This has been a
appreciate
refreshing
you.
conversation. Always a good one to have late in the week. Make me go hard for a couple more days as we're winding
Yeah.
down after a long Wednesday. But I'm excited to have met you. Truthfully, it sounds
Same.
like we think a lot of the same stuff. Trying to help people and
Hmm.
find ways to be valuable is exciting to me as well. It's why we do this. We spend a lot of time and energy trying to make this possible for people. So thank you for being a part of it. It really does mean a lot.
No, thank you so much for having me. I totally enjoyed it. And I truly believe that, yeah, we do think the same. That's why we're here on your podcast. So
Absolutely.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. All right, burn the ship.